Hey, what's going on, everybody? Christian Ballard, Ballard Sports Media, coming at you today with the BSM official top 25 poll for 2023, the preseason poll. Now, I'm going to try to do my best at being consistent with this, maybe doing it every single week, but I at least will promise you a preseason poll. If we can't do it throughout the season because of work and scheduling, then it is what it is. But I hope to find time, and I hope that we can do it kind of like Uncle Lou does. Uh, you know, well, actually, not like Uncle Lou. When you think about it, he does, what does he do? Post spring, signing day, and then the official preseason, I think is what he does. So I guess we're doing a little bit more than what Uncle Lou or anybody else would do. We're actually going to try to do it throughout the season and hope that it works out perfectly. So, with that being said, before we get into my poll, I want to share the coaches poll that is out. The AP Top 25 is not out yet, but been out for a while. The 2023 preseason coaches poll rankings, which are meaningless, but I figured, why not share it? Just to get a feel for what some of the coaches out there, and I don't know who's voted on it, honestly. I mean, I'm sure Saban has voted. I'm sure Kirby's voted. I'm sure Lincoln Riley. Maybe I do kind of know who's voted on it, but not. I don't know if it's necessarily every single coach in the FBS, but it is a good majority of the coaches. And we'd like to take a look at what they have. So let's go ahead and put this up on the screen here. So coming in at 25 is Texas A&M. I like Texas A&M this year. Not going to lie to you. Will they be in my top 25 poll? We'll see very soon. Texas Tech, Tulane, Ole Miss, Wisconsin, and North Carolina in the bottom 20. You get outside the 20 through 25 range. You get Oklahoma, you get Oregon State, you get Kansas State and TCU from the Big 12. Oregon Ducks, are they a little bit underrated being there at 15? We'll talk about that a little bit later. Utah, Notre Dame, Texas, Washington up pretty high, just outside the top 10. And then we get into the top 10. I like the top 10 teams they had. I just don't know if they're in the right order. But let's look at it. Tennessee, Clemson, Florida State, Penn State, USC, and then we're in the top 5. LSU, Ohio State, Alabama, Michigan, and of course at number 1, the Georgia Bulldogs going back-to-back with their national championship run. So that is the coaches poll for 2023 this year for college football. What about my poll? What about Ballard Sports Media? BSM. What about it? Nobody voted on this. I made it myself. And I'm going to hope to do a poll each week throughout the college football season and update it based on who won, who lost, who looked better, strength of schedule, upsets. There's a lot to take in. Let's go. All right. Let's get in and start from the bottom. We're going to start out 25 through 21, and we're going to go South Carolina gets in there. They were just outside the ESPN rankings. I honestly think they probably should deserve some credit and some hype. Shout out to Twisted Rooster, Gamecock Chuck, all the South Carolina fans out there, Carolina Jackpot. You guys are officially in the top 25 for BSM. Oklahoma, Texas A&M, Wisconsin, and Iowa get some Big Ten teams in there. Wisconsin, by the way, is in the top 25 for ESPN at 21. They are at 22 on my list. I kind of took from what they had because I do agree to some extent. But I looked at some teams they left out and I said, that just isn't right. I think there's some Power Five teams in there that deserve some more credit. I kind of left out Tulane. I like what they did last year. I have some questions about this season. I know they bring back a lot, but it's very hard to be that group of five team that could do it all again. And they have some momentum. Not going to take that away from them. They got some momentum. So Iowa, Wisconsin, A&M, Oklahoma, and South Carolina reverse that order there, 25 through 21, to get us started tonight. Up next, I'm going to talk. Well, let me do this. Okay, before we get into my next few teams on this list, 25 through 21, I like South Carolina. I like what they bring back. I like they picked up Trey Knox from Arkansas. They got Spencer Rattler coming back. I think that Shane Beamer is a great head coach. Oklahoma, I think, deserves a little bit of credit. They are supposed to improve after a 6-win season with Brent Venables in year one. They're not going to be what they were with Lincoln Riley. But you could look at Oklahoma and say, well, they got Dylan Gabriel over here, and you could look at Oklahoma and you could say they're still in the Big 12. You could say that they have a pretty set up schedule if they want to make a run, and I'm sure that they do, at a Big 12 championship. Dylan Gabriel comes back, Eric Gray. You got, of course, losing some key players like Marvin Mims. But what about the tight end, Braden Willis? Well, he's gone to the 49ers. So they did lose a couple key receivers, right? But they bring a lot in when it comes to their roster and their recruiting. You got Dylan Gabriel back. You got some running backs in there. Javonte Barnes, Marcus Major. I could go down the list. They are loaded at running back here. Trey Brown is a wide receiver who's a freshman, comes in. I heard a little bit about him. So, Tawee Walker is there. Jalil Farouk, Jaden Gibson, DJ Graham the second, JJ Hester. I could go down the list. Drake Stoops is a wide receiver who's a senior. So they have some good experience at receiver. It's just a matter of who's going to battle it out there for seeing the field. Basically, I'll say this. I'm not going to go through every single roster on every single team. I think Oklahoma should have a really good offense. I think with Brent Venables, they should have a really good defense. Will it be good enough to keep up with Kansas State, with TCU, with Texas, whoever you want to pull from the Big 12? Is it going to be enough? That's a big question. I think they deserve some credit going into this season. They could easily drop out of my rankings. But we'll see. So Oklahoma's at 24. We won't run through every single team. I think Jimbo Fisher and Texas A&M deserve some credit too. Did not make a bowl game last year. But it's not based on last year. It's based on what you have coming in this year. They got Connor Wakeman, the freshman, and they were a couple plays away from being bowl eligible, if not for a couple hiccups in the road. They almost beat Alabama again. Jalen Milroe, of course, comes in for the Crimson Tide, but gets the victory 24-20, if I'm not mistaken, was the final score of that game. I know it was really close and low scoring. So Texas A&M's in there. Wisconsin and Luke Fickell. Wisconsin could be the biggest surprise turnaround team in the Big Ten this upcoming season. Could be on the list. Also in the Big Ten West, keep your eye on Iowa. What is Kirk Ferentz in Iowa going to look like with Cade McNamara at quarterback now? That's going to be interesting. He did good at Michigan. He's no J.J. McCarthy, but he was pretty good at times. And let's not forget who led Michigan to the playoffs the first time around was Cade McNamara. He's with the Hawkeyes now in the Big Ten West. And I really expect the offense to improve greatly. I don't think it's going to be one of the best necessarily, but it's not going to be a bottom feeder type of offense that we've been used to seeing from Iowa. So Iowa, Wisconsin, A&M, Oklahoma, and South Carolina in here. I hardly have any, really no Group of 5 team. I tried to make this all Power 5 if possible, right? And that's kind of, what the top 25 is most of the time. I just don't have enough knowledge on the Group of 5 teams this upcoming season to where I can say much. Because I'm going to be honest, I really just I love college football as a whole, but I'm more on the Power 5 side of things. So that being said, let's move on to 16 through 20 or 20 through 16, however you want to look at it. Ole Miss gets in there. I think they could have a very explosive offense. Could be one of the best in the SEC outside of Georgia and LSU. Alabama has some questions. They're ranked pretty high in my poll because they're Alabama, and we have to. We got to give Nick Saban some props, and they're at least going to have a really, really good defense. But I got Ole Miss in here. I like Jackson Dart. I like Quinshon Judkins, the running back. I think he's going to be very explosive, very talented, and this is going to be an offense that's going to be hard to stop. The defense gives me worries. I'm not going to lie. They have a game early on at home against Georgia Tech on September 16th. They got to play teams like Georgia and Auburn on the road. They also got to go to Alabama. It's a brutal schedule. You get teams like Vanderbilt, Arkansas, LSU at home. Can you handle those teams? Can you handle A&M at home? Remember, they were in our top 25 so far at 23. That could be interesting. Up next after them, Oregon State made a bowl game. Las Vegas Bowl against Florida. Now they have DJ Uiagalelei. Say whatever you want about what he did at Clemson. Oregon State's not Clemson, though. They're not looking and hunting for a national title. I'm sure everybody dreams of it, but Oregon State wants to show that last year wasn't a fluke. And can they do that with DJ? They probably could. I'm going to believe in DJ just this one season for the first couple of weeks. Oregon State is going to be a mid-tier Pac-12 team. I think the Pac-12 is going to be loaded. I think it's one of 4 teams that could probably win it. But I would put Oregon State definitely the 5th team. I just don't think they have enough to win the conference. I look at Washington, I look at Oregon, I look at USC. And then I also look at Utah. I don't look so much at Oregon State, but I give them their props and I say, you deserve to be in my top 25. I'm going to put you in there, and I'm going to rank you in the top 20. Not even the top 25. You're in the top 20, Oregon State. Let's see what you can do. Can you carry through and do something great this season? Kansas State comes in at 18. Maybe that's a little bit low for the Big 12 champions. Yes, I said the Big 12 champions. They return a lot. But they also lost a little bit. Not going to lie. Not going to lie. Kansas State looking pretty good. In the coaches poll, they're at 17, but I got them at 18. You could put them wherever you want to. They have games against Missouri on the road, TCU at home, Texas on the road. They open up. Here's the thing. With 3 straight home games before a trip to Oklahoma State. Their bye week is on September 30th. That's pretty early for a bye week. But they play teams like Southeast Missouri State. They play teams like Troy, play UCF, and then you get into conference play and you got to go play Oklahoma State in Stillwater. You go to Stillwater, that's a tough game. It's going to be a night game on ESPN. That could be a game, maybe. Could be a good matchup there. We'll see. Texas Tech, Houston, Baylor, Iowa State at home. Yeah, this is going to be a fun season to watch, I think, for Kansas State. I really believe that they have some good potential there. Will Howard looked pretty good. A little bit against Alabama, but obviously Alabama was able to handle Kansas State in the Sugar Bowl. But we'll see what they can do going forward. So you get Will Howard back. I like Will Howard. I think he's got a good arm. He's good in the pocket. Just has to work on his mobility a little bit. I don't know about the running back. I know Deuce Vaughn is gone. But outside of that, you got a guy named Trayshawn Ward, who's actually from my hometown in Florida. Shout out to that guy there. Number 9, is he competing for the running back position? He probably is. I would say you look at some of the receivers, Ty Bowman, Phillip Brooks, Keegan Johnson, Xavier Lloyd, to name a couple guys. There's different directions they could go at receiver. Brooks, Knowles, Warner. Of course, Deuce Vaughn was a running back last year. He's drafted somewhere. But Kansas State should have a pretty decent offense. They're pretty good defensively, too. I know we make jokes about the Big 12 not having any defense, but I'll give Kansas State their props. So I'm going to put them at number 18. At number 17, they got to be somewhere, right? They're actually 13th in the preseason poll, coaches poll that came out. I got Notre Dame. Now, here's the thing about Notre Dame. They have a couple of tough games on their schedule. It's going to be tough. It's going to be rough. Notre Dame, eyes on you this season. We're watching Notre Dame to see what they do. Lost Tyler Buckner to Alabama. After him, you have Sam Hartman. He comes in from Wake Forest. So is it really that much of a loss for Tyler Buckner to be gone? I don't know. Sam Hartman, he did pretty good at Wake Forest. Why he transferred from Wake Forest, I never got that, actually. Marcus Freeman actually had a pretty interesting season last year. I think 7 or 8 games, So, of course, the latest news on Notre Dame is if they're going to join a conference, and if they do, is it the Big Ten or the ACC? Outside of that, there's not really much news going on. I'm sure they're practicing very hard right now with fall camp going on, and it's I would just watch Notre Dame just to see what they look like. Notre Dame, they made the playoffs a couple times, but they've also disappointed. They never go below 500, though. Have you noticed that? It's been a long time since they've been below 500 and not made a bowl game. They're going to make a bowl game this year. I think the question is, how far are they going to go? Are they New Year's 6? Are they in the College Football Playoff? Don't ever count out the Fighting Irish. Now, I don't know about Marcus Freeman yet, but Brian Kelly had it a couple times. Notre Dame's on the list of 17 in the rankings here at Ballard Sports Media. They play teams on the road like NC State. They host Ohio State. They play Clemson on the road. They host teams like Wake Forest. They're not afraid to schedule big teams. Why they don't join a conference and make it official, I don't know. Maybe, actually, here's my opinion. I think they like the variety of Power 5 teams that they can play not being in a certain conference. I think they love to mix it up a little bit. That's just my opinion. But we'll see. I got them at 17. Ole Miss, Oregon State, Kansas State, Notre Dame, Utah. Okay, Cam Rising, right? Kyle Whittingham, the head coach. This is going to be a great season for the Utah Utes. I mentioned a couple teams in the Pac 12. 4 teams, I think, actually have a chance to win it this year. You got Washington. Put them in any order, really. I think it starts with USC. You got USC. I'll go Oregon next. I'll go Washington. Then I got Utah. I'll go like that. But Utah's there at 16. Cam Rising, Coach Kyle Whittingham, looked really good last season. Utah made a Rose Bowl a couple years ago. Utah, remind me again, what did they do last year to USC? I think they beat them in the Pac 12 championship. They're going to have a chip on their shoulder. Utah opens with Florida at home. You probably get the win there. Baylor on the road. That could be tough. Baylor could be good. I don't have Baylor in my top 25 yet, but they could sneak up in the rankings if they get that week 2 victory over Utah. Utah, Baylor, good game to circle on the calendar there on September the 9th, 11 a.m. Same day as Alabama, Texas, and other great matchups like that. Weber State, win. California, win. UCLA. Think UCLA takes some steps back this year. They have lost some pieces, but they're about a 7 or 8 win team. They'll go bowling. They'll do something. Be careful, but Utah should get the win there. Oregon at home. Arizona State at home. Washington on the road is really your only worry. That and the game against Florida early on, and then, well, forget the Florida game for a second. Let's put that aside. Utah gets them at home. The road games for you. Be careful about Oregon State, USC, and Washington. That's it. So Utah should be very good there. I really believe that Guy Whittingham is a good coach. Great offensive mind and can mix it up a little bit on that side of the ball. So, Utah, prove us wrong. Show why you deserve to be in the top 15. Because you're just a spot outside. Just a bit outside. You're at 16. Okay. That being said, let's move forward and get to the top 15. Okay, national runner-up. They got to be in the top 25 somewhere, don't they? Just somewhere. Can you give them some credit to start the season? I know they lost a ton, but they kind of bring some stuff back. Steve Avila is gone on the offensive line. Max Duggan is gone at quarterback. Who was their running back? Keandre Miller is gone from TCU. So, but they open up with Colorado. Now, TCU is already a 21-point favorite in that game. And they played Nichols. Then they got to go to Houston. I think that Houston game, I don't know too much about Houston this year. I haven't really looked into them. I know it's Dana Holgerson, but new Big 12 team. That's it. That's all I know. I have not looked into them too much. So I'm going to say TCU could be on a roll to start the season. And really, I mean, then you get teams like SMU at home and West Virginia at home, teams you probably should beat. Really, the only outside game that I would be careful about is that trip to Ames, Iowa. Jeff Webster, I miss you, man. Ames, Iowa. Iowa State on October 7th. That could be interesting. That could be a trap. Are they overlooking for BYU on the 14th? What about Kansas State on the road? What are the chances if TCU and Sonny Dykes, who's in his second year, going into year two, in his first year, made the college football playoff, made it to a national title, got blown out by Georgia, but that's Georgia. That's just what Georgia's doing right now. What about TCU? They still got it a little bit. They got to, don't they? My goodness. Max Duggan is gone. But I think it's going to be Chandler Morris. Could go back to being the guy. We'll see. They do have a transfer wide receiver from LSU and Jack Beck. They got Trey Sanders from Alabama, who is a 4-5-star. JoJo Earl from Alabama. You have some Alabama guys on that offense. You better make it work. You got to make it work, man. You got to. I'm going to say TCU. Got to give them credit. I'm going to put them in the top 15 because I just think it's so weird to have a top 25 and not have the national runner-up somewhere on the list. I got to give it to them a little bit for what they did last year to get to that point. And I think it's the beginning of something great that Sonny Dykes wants to do. I don't know if he'll ever make a national title again, but he's going to be making some ball games. He's going to be competing for the Big 12. He's going to be doing some big things in Texas Christian country in Texas. So, TCU at 15. North Carolina, I love Drake May. Potential Heisman contender this year. Actually, he is a contender. Could be a winner. We'll see. Washington's next. We're going to try to run through these now. Washington and Michael Penix. Again, I told you it's like one of 4 or 3 teams in the Pac-12 this year. Washington's one of them. Tennessee, are they ranked too high on this list? They deserve a shot, right? Joe Milton. Nico Amaleva. There's some quarterback competition there. Quarterback competition. Tennessee actually at number 10 in the coaches poll with 991 points in the voting. They won an Orange Bowl over Clemson last season. They open up with teams like, let's see here. Virginia, be careful. Austin P, who cares? Florida on the road. Florida's going to be terrible. Florida's going to be bad. You could handle Florida. UTSA, you'll win. So they got their first 4 games that they could win. They'll be undefeated going into Texas A&M. What if they beat Texas A&M? 5-0. Up next, you get a bye week. No, actually, I'm sorry. You get Alabama. They could – listen. Okay. Could we have last year again? Undefeated third Saturday rivalry. I'll be careful as an Alabama fan. But Tennessee, if you pull this off and beat us 2 years in a row, give them all the cigars. I don't care. Tennessee deserves to be ranked very high this year. I got them in the top 15, number 12. Up next, I got the Texas Longhorns. I have said all offseason how high I am on Texas possibly winning the Big 12 this year. And their first true test is going to be early, week 2 against Alabama on September 9th. Circle it, put it on your calendar. Let's go. The line's already out, and it's only a 7-point spread for the Crimson Tide. 6 o'clock game on ESPN Central Time. Red River rivalry, teams like Baylor, Wyoming. I'll tell you what, they'll have momentum if they beat Alabama. They take care of business there. They almost did it last year at home. So I don't know. I guess just give them credit where it's due. Uh, you know, Texas, what's up? What's up? Y'all ain't back yet. You beat Alabama this year, you'll be back to something. You'll be relevant. But anyway, let's move on. Get into the top 10 here. All right, we're ready for the top 10. I'm going to actually go back to the Pac-12, and I'm going to go Oregon. I'm high on Bo Nix. I think Dan Lanning did great his first year. They're going to be competing for the Pac-12 title. This is before they leave for the Big Ten, too. Washington and Oregon signed an agreement this week to move on. What is Oregon going to do? What's Washington going to do? Remember, we had Washington at 13. So I think with Bo Nix at the realm of quarterback for Oregon this year, the Ducks could be very dangerous. I think the Pac-12 right now has the best quarterbacks in the league. That is the best quarterback group that I have seen in a long time. You're talking about Bo Nix. You're talking about Cam Rising. You're talking about Michael Penix. And let's not forget the Heisman winner, Caleb Williams. Something in my eye. Let me get that. So, yeah, this could be good. This could be fun to watch. Oregon, you're on the list. You want to go back to 2014, by the way. How about who Oregon played in that playoff game to get to a national title? Florida State. Florida State. Man, Uncle Lou. White Tonto. Yes, sir. Florida State on the list at number 9. You're in my top 10. I'm high on it. I like Clemson for the ACC, but I think Florida State's that next team. I think Florida State is that next team. I had North Carolina at 14. They could be in competition, obviously, for the ACC. ACC did away with divisions. Clemson, you're up next. Well, Florida State, you're up next, but I look at Clemson too. Between Clemson and Florida State, you notice Penn State. Now, I like Penn State. I like Michigan to win the Big Ten, but I'll be honest. It wouldn't surprise me if it was Penn State. I know they lost Sean Clifford, but that's it. Nicholas Singleton is back. Katron Allen is back. You have a 5-star freshman, redshirt freshman, or I guess he'll be a sophomore. He played some good time last year with, with Penn State. Drew Aller, or Allar. I still don't know. Is it Allar or Aller? Anyway, he's great, and he's going to show it on the field. So I think Penn State deserves to be – I think they should be in the top 10 automatically in every preseason poll this year and going into the season every single year from here on out, because I think that Coach Franklin has gotten better and better and better and better each year since he's been at Penn State. Won the Big Ten one time in 2016. Now, I don't want to say it was off a fluke, but, I mean, some things did fall their way. I think they could legitimately win it this year. I really believe that. Now, I like Michigan in the title game and everything, so I'm picking Michigan, but Penn State would not surprise me at all. They'll be great. They'll be really good, and they deserve a shot at a national title. They deserve a shot at the Big Ten. They deserve all the sweepstakes. They've been knocking on the door for a long time, and this is the year to do it, because Ohio State's probably going to get back to it, but Michigan's on the rise too. So you just got to be careful. Michigan State's out there too, could be in a couple years. You just have to be careful here. It's going to get dicey in the Big Ten, but I think Penn State has a lot of potential. I got Clemson at number 7. I like Clemson, man. I really do. There's so many teams I like to make the playoff. There could only be 4. I think Clemson is a definite team to do it. If they can figure out their quarterback situation, which they got to figure it out. Like, we know it's going to be Cade Klubnik, but if they can figure out Cade Klubnik a little bit, because he looked good against North Carolina in the ACC title, but didn't really show much against Tennessee. And Tennessee did what they did, give them credit. But think about this. Clemson has to play Duke on the road. Duke could be a good team this year. I saw where Uncle Lou picked Duke to beat Clemson that first week of the season, but he also said Clemson could win the game. He just had a gut feeling that it wasn't going to happen and that Duke probably could be a surprise team this year. Charleston Southern, FAU. Look, week 4, you could have 2 undefeated ACC teams with Florida State and Clemson. Key advantage for Clemson, though, is that it's at home. Syracuse, Wake Forest, Miami on the road. This is a tough schedule. This really is a tough schedule. I'm not even going to knock on the ACC anymore. These teams are on the up and coming. You got NC State on the road. You got to host Notre Dame. You got to play Georgia Tech late in the year. They're improving. Not good enough for the Ballard Sports Media Top 25, though. South Carolina on the road. Oh, man. South Carolina on the road. They got you, didn't they? Didn't they get you last year? And I think the year before. Man, Shane Beamer. He's in my top 25 at 25. But I give Clemson credit. Clemson's already favored big time over NC State and Notre Dame and South Carolina. Every team like that. Yeah, this is going to be great. I like Clemson this year. I really do. I'll say this. It is hard for me to pick the ACC right now, but if I had to lean towards the favorite, it is Clemson. I mean, they've won it how many years in a row minus 2020 or 2021? So they win it like 5-6 years in a row, made the playoff 5-6 years in a row for a while. I don't think Dabo Swinney's mentality I don't think any of that's gone away. I just think the ACC's gotten a little stronger and Clemson needs to step their game up. You're right here. You're still at the top. You're still at the top, Clemson. But the ACC slowly creeping up. You got to get up here, man. You got to put some space between you and the other teams. Got to do that. Clemson in at number 7. It is finally time for the top 6. We're doing this a little bit like how they do it on the playoff show, ranking show. Let's just go ahead and throw it up. I think it's obvious what we should do here. I'm actually going to go Georgia. I'm going to go Michigan, LSU, USC, and the first 2 outside the playoff, Ohio State and Alabama. I cannot be biased. I would love nothing more than to sit here and tell you that Alabama is going to be the best team in the nation and that they're coming and that they're going to win a title, but I don't think that's it. I just don't. I quarterback issues. Defense looked great. Justice Haynes looked great. Offensive line looked shaky, and the quarterbacks, I mean, they dipped into the portal. And they got Tyler Buckner. You don't just get a guy from the portal. You just don't do that. There's a reason why you tried to get this guy to come to Alabama. And there's a reason. See, here's the thing, too. If it were settled between Jalen and Ty Simpson, why would Tyler Buckner see an opportunity to go to Alabama? Don't you think he saw that they might need some help, so he went to Alabama? Don't you think? I'm not trying to put my team down. I love Alabama. Always been a diehard fan. But I'm also a sports journalist. I can't be biased. Got to be fair. Got to be real. They're not the number one team this year. They're just not. They're just not. I'll put them at 6, though. This one's tough, too. I really wish I swapped these two because I'm going to regret this. Understand the top 4. But yes, I have Ohio State at number 5 and above Alabama. I will say this: Ohio State is going to be a good team this year. They really are, even without CJ Stroud. Now, I don't know if it's going to be who do they have here? Let me pull this up. What are these guys' names? Kyle McCord and Devin Brown. Though one of those two guys is going to be your quarterback. Probably Kyle McCord. But they have Travion Henderson still. They still got Travion Henderson, Mayan Williams. They got this guy, Jaden Ballard, Mika Ibuka, Julian Fleming, Marvin Harrison. Man, they got the key pieces. They're going to have an explosive offense. It's probably going to be better than Alabama. They deserve to be top 5. Alabama, they probably have a case a little bit, but let's just go back and watch the spring games. Who caught the ball? Ohio State or Alabama? Ohio State did a little bit more, just a little bit more. USC, I like to win the Pac-12 this year. Caleb Williams looks to go back-to-back Heismans. Can he do it? It's going to be tough, but I think it's doable. One of the best quarterbacks, probably the best returning quarterback in the nation. We'll see. But USC at number 4, LSU number 3, Michigan 2, Georgia 1, as you see on your screen. I think it's fair to put Georgia at the top just for now. I think that they look really, really good in that spring game, even without Stetson Bennett, even without guys like Keely Ringo or whoever on the defense, and Jalen Carter's gone, and they still look dominant, man. And I know that they want to take it to a three-peat this season in 2023. Man, y'all could do it, probably. I hope not. I hope I'm wrong because I want to see somebody else out there. But Georgia's at the top. Michigan, I'm not settled on a national title team this year, but one thing that keeps coming to my mind over and over and over again, I hear Michigan, Wolverines, Jim Harbaugh. I hear it all in here, all up here. But so I don't know. LSU probably going to beat Alabama for the West. They return Jaden Daniels and Harold Perkins and everybody on defense, and they have everybody back. They're going to be favored in a lot of their games. Probably even favored over Alabama. We'll see what happens at that point in the season. We don't know yet, but we'll see. So that does it for the BSM 2023 College Football Top 25 preseason poll. Now, you guys let me know, but I probably don't have all the time in the world to do this every single week throughout the college football season. We could do something like, I know for sure when it comes time for the playoff rankings, I want to predict at least the top 10. So if we could do that, I think that'd be good. Yeah, if we could do the top 10 for the playoff rankings, that'd be something. But this is the official BSM Top 25, all the way from South Carolina to Georgia, SEC team to SEC team, in between with some ACC, some Big 12, some Pac 12, some Big 10. We have it all. Thank you so much for tuning into this premiere. I love you guys. Jesus loves you. He's got a great plan. Thank you, God, for just another day here. We love you, and I love all you guys on here too, man. I mean it. Thanks so much for always sticking around and being here for me, and I hope to be there for you guys as well, man. I'll keep putting out great content. I'm working hard. I know it's not every single day, but we're working hard at this. We're working hard at 2 jobs and then fixing to turn around and start the fall semester. Going to a Braves game next week, too. We'll try to get some pictures and some footage for you guys. I love y'all, and we'll see you next time. Until then, Ballard Sports Media, check it out. I love y'all. Peace.